Revolt of the Dwarves, an endless quest book. Tell me what I have to do, you say? The prince must be told of the danger so that he can muster the army, says Horov. None of us can warn him. If he sees us, he'll think it's a trick, because the pixies have a reputation for, well, not being serious. It has to be you. But how can I reach the prince? There are at least two ways, replies Orov. No sooner have you agreed to be carried by the pixies than six swoop down, grasp you firmly, and zoom off. You watch in fear and awe as the roof of the forest slips out beneath you. Suddenly, without warning, the pixies swoop, twirl, and dive steeply. The tops of the trees rise to meet you. You're surely going to die. But just as you're able to see the individual leaves clearly, the pixies then pull up sharply, and soon you are safe above the trees once more. Why do you do that? You yell. You scared me half to death. No more tricks. Just get me to the castle as soon as possible. Although the pixies continue to snicker and giggle, they play no more tricks. Soon the towers of the city rise out of the morning mist. The city gates are closed and patrolled by armed guards. The palace looms up out of the mist. There's a guard at every gate, but the pixies fly over the barred gates and head for an open window in the very tallest tower. You find yourself in a very large round room. In the center is a big bed with someone sleeping in it. The pixies hover for a moment and then drop you upon the bed, then sit giggling at its feet. The figure then sits up, yawns, and rubs its eyes. You realize that it's the prince. Sleepy eyes open wide in disbelief as he looks at you. Are you real? Or am I dreaming? The pixies laugh aloud and begin to bounce up and down on the bed. I guess I'm not dreaming, says the prince, as the bed continues to bounce beneath him. Stop that, you command sharply, and the pixies scramble off the bed and begin exploring the room. No, sire, you're not dreaming. We are very real. I'm Galen, and these are my friends, the pixies. They brought me here so that I could warn you about the dwarves. They're massing in the hills, readying for war. They're planning to capture the kingdom and to kill you. The prince cries out, "Oh, what could I do?" Well, the pixies have a plan, you answer. If you alert the army, the pixies will help. They can shoot their tiny arrows that cause instant forgetfulness. If your soldiers attack in front and the pixies from above, we could win. But won't the pixies see the dwarves and shoot them down before they can get close? Watch, you say with a smile. Pixies, show the prince why you won't be seen. The pixies come scurrying out of the mini corner of the room and line up in a row. 1, 2, 3, you count, and then poof, they all disappear in a shimmer of magic. Where are they? Where did they go? The prince kneels on his bed and looks under the quilt. A fit of giggling bursts from the spot where the pixies disappeared. The prince leaps out of bed and, bending over, gingerly touches the invisible pixies. Well, they're here, but I can't see them. That's why our plan will work, you say. Well, then I'll rise the army. There's no time to lose, cries the prince, as he runs out of the door. Prince, come back. You're still in your pajamas. But the prince is gone. Sighing, you turn to the invisible pixies. Well, at least he was convinced. Now we'd better get back and tell King Orf what's happened. You feel yourself lifted by 12 little invisible hands, and the pixies then fly out the window, circle the tower, and zoom over the heads of the guards, zipping through the center of town. The city gates are just being opened as you approach at breakneck speed. Then you pass down between the gates. You look down at the 2 guards who are pushing open the heavy doors, politely saying, "Good morning," tipping your hat as you fly by. One stares at you open-mouthed, a pixie-sized human seemingly hanging in midair, speechless, but the second pulls his hat over his eyes and yells out witchcraft, running away as fast as he can. Soon you stand before Whimsy, Woofy, and King Orf. We did it, you exclaimed happily. Good, cries the king, and we're ready on our end. So let's be on our way. Whimsy steps forward and places a large orange trumpet flower to her lips. A melody, both urgent and sweet, pours from the trumpet flower. The woods are slowly filled with the rustling and giggling of thousands of pixies. They peer at you from between leaves, from behind trees, and beneath bushes. Big pixies, little pixies, thin pixies, and fat pixies. Pixies dressed in all shades of the rainbow, and all of them armed with little bows and quivers filled with tiny, sharp needle arrows. When at last King Orph is satisfied that all the pixies have arrived, the tiny winged army begins to move out. Brightly colored pixies flit through the air like a croquet of jeweled hummingbirds and glistening dragonflies. You ride astride Woofy at the head of the advancing army, and soon you and the pixies are gathered at the edge of the forest before the open plain. We will stay here until it is time, says Orph, and the army settles down soon to wait. Slowly, you sense a low rumbling noise. It's the beat of the dwarven drums. The dread sound echoes through the forest and pours over the plain. All around you, pixies tend to last-minute duties, checking their weapons, cleaning their wings, and sooner than you might have wished, the dwarves appear, marching onto the plain. Bearded, brawny, armor-clad, they march in a solid mass. The excited pixies are held back from a sign from their king. A horn blares as the city gates open wide, and the prince's own army begins to pour out. Now, yells Orph, and the air is filled with thousands of poofs. All the brightly colored pixies disappear in a flash of dust, and the air is filled with the beating of tiny wings. A few adorers look up, sensing something amiss, but they see nothing. Then the pixies begin to shoot their arrows. Many strike armor and simply fall to the ground, but soon the effect of those that strike flesh can be easily seen. Horses, screaming with panic, begin crashing into one another, disrupting the dwarven advance. And soon the plain is filled with dazed dwarves who cannot remember who they are or what they are supposed to be doing. The prince's army gallops onto the plain and joins into the battle. Throughout the long fight, the pixies continue shooting at dwarves, and occasionally at some humans too, just for fun. As night begins to fall, the battle ends. The prince calls you to him. Galen, we are victorious this day only because of your bravery and that of the pixies. You have my everlasting thanks. Even the dwarves will not suffer unjustly. There must be some reason behind this revolt, and I will try to find out what it is. And if it is fair, I will right this wrong. Also, I have sent a company of my best men to find and free your parents. They should be with us soon, and I know they'd be proud of you. A warm, happy feeling spreads throughout you. You have tried something truly difficult and succeeded. You'd be sad to leave the pixies, but you are glad to know that everything will be fine once more. The end. See you next time.